Hey, what's up guys? Tougie here, back again. It's been a little while since we've had a video like this on the channel, getting to actually talk hockey, because obviously there hasn't been too much to talk about with, the entire world in limbo. But a couple of things have happened recently that I felt like, okay, we can finally talk about a little bit of hockey. And yeah, just wanted to bring up a couple of things. First and foremost, yes, this fucking horrible neckbeard's going to go eventually. Secondly, this is the closest thing I have to a Winnipeg Jets jersey. It's a Kovalchuk, by the way. It's fantastic. They actually only have the numbers on this side. Yeah, Kovalchuk. It's great. I love it. Dustin Byfuglien voided his contract with the Winnipeg Jets, as far as I know. Of course, because of that, they're not on the hook for any cap space. Whether or not this means the end of Big Buff's career, who's to say? Obviously, even if the NHL returns this year, he won't be playing. But have we seen the last of Dustin Byfuglien in the NHL? It honestly seems kind of likely at this point. At the end of the day, what left does the guy have to play for? He's obviously got the money, but the contract he just voided and what he's given up, he obviously has the money. He has the Stanley Cup in his cabinet thanks to 2010. And at the end of the day, go home and be with your family, right? What's really the point? 35 years old, some hard miles. I think we probably have seen the last of Dustin Byfuglien, but without a doubt, if it is the end, one hell of a career. One hell of a career. Definitely one to be proud of. Kind of a shame that it ends as unceremoniously as it looks like it might, but at the end of the day, again, a very respectable career. Again, for former Hawk, Thrasher for one season, and of course, a staple of the Jets upon their return to the NHL. So I'll be very intrigued to see if that happens. We do have confirmation of another retirement. Andrei Markov calls it a career, 41 years old, going to be 42 in December. Of course, been rumored for the past, really 2 seasons. Of course, 3 years ago for the 2017-18 season is when he left to go over to Russia because Mark Byfuglien, for whatever reason, didn't hand him the money that he should have. Radulov as well comes to mind when you think of Mark Byfuglien, just letting cap space sit there and doing nothing with it, which is why I've, despite this, not exactly been like, yeah, Mark Byfuglien, great GM. It's like he's done some good stuff, but there's been a lot of moves, and that's one of them. But again, we know for a fact it's the end of his career and a fantastic, career for Andrei Markov. I mean, the only thing that's really missing is that Stanley Cup, him being a Hab. I'm not exactly shedding a tear for that, but it's like, man, the man has, world championship medals, world junior medals, has a Gagarin Cup to his credit, so a very storied career, probably not Hall of Fame worthy, but Hall of Very Good. And in the grand scheme of things, how many people even make it to the Hall of Very Good? Not many. So, again, fair play to Andrei Markov for a spectacular career as well. There have been a ton of junior, players signing, NCAA players signing, of course. But along with that, we've seen some contracts redone, like Curtis McDermott. Yesterday, Joonas Korpisalo re-signed with the Columbus Blue Jackets, which fair deal for them as well. It was Columbus, I think, was going to be one of the stories of the NHL, and still might be, depending on how things eventually play out. With you lost a ton of people, then you had 1,000 injuries, yet you were hanging around. Korpisalo was a big part of the success that they had this year, a 911 save percentage in 37 games. Of course, the story of Elvis Merzlikins as well, very impressive. But Korpisalo rightfully getting his contract extended. And then, of course, St. Louis, the biggest talking point perhaps, if you're just focusing on the sports side of the sport. I'll talk more about that in a second. But re-signing Sammy Blais and Marco Scandella. The Sammy Blais deal, $1.5 million for 2 years. Fine deal for him. Again, a solid bottom 6 option for the Blues. But it's the Marco Scandella signing that's obviously bizarre because, number one, you have to hand another draft pick to Montreal, and they signed him $3,275 for 4 seasons. Marco Scandella is going to be a Blue. Alex Pietrangelo is probably not. So I don't know if they were just too far apart on the numbers or what, but Marco Scandella is 30 years old, as is Alex Pietrangelo. Petro's going from making 6.5 this year, UFA at the end of the year. What was he looking for that made the Blues say, we want our top 4 to instead be Parayko, Falk, Scandella, and Dunn, which is what it's going to be. Now, Dunn's an RFA, so you know, Petro's money is in part going to Scandella. I mean, that's really the only big contract that they have to sign is done in Pietrangelo. So very intrigued to see, you know, what his asking price was, maybe term more than money than anything, you know, kind of that retirement level contract that, you know, really kind of led the Blues to be like, no, we're not going to sign you to that. So don't know what that would have been, but huge news, of course, there's going to be a new captain in St. Louis next year, unless there are some crazy unforeseen circumstances. You know, maybe they're able... I mean, Bouwmeester's deal's up at the end of the year. We've probably seen the last of Jay Bouwmeester as well, so that really kind of explains how they're going to be paying Vince Dunn. But maybe they move on from Allen. You don't re-sign Scandella, and Petro's there, but that's not what they're looking at doing. So, pretty crazy. And then talking about the sports side of the sport against the, I guess, the human side of the sport. And I didn't want to make a video about this when it happened. I still don't really want to talk about it now. But obviously the Colby Cave stuff is just fucking tragic. And again, I didn't want to put a video out when it happened. You know, I didn't want his name or picture to be in the title of any video where I talked about it because, you know, even if I unmonetized the video, I didn't want to get attention or make money off of his name in any way in the aftermath of this. It's been a couple of days at this point, and just as a hockey fan, it's still just like, you know, what the fuck? And then obviously you think about friends and family, and it's just fucking brutal, man. So obviously, you know, you look at the other stuff like, oh, Dustin, Byfuglien, Markov, and it's like, okay, you know, no, that is what it is. And then you think of the real life stuff, and obviously with everything going on, you know, the real life side of life, as opposed to distractions with sports and how much, you know, we as sports fans really, you know, invest in that side of things. Like that side of thing, it doesn't matter at all at the end of the day. It really doesn't. So. Yeah, the Colby Cave thing is brutal. But I know a lot of people were like, oh, are you going to talk about that at all? And it's like, this was the best way I could think to do it. And right now, like, there's no great transition to end this video and be like, hey, leave a like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about the other stuff. I'm pretty sure I know your opinion on the Colby Cave stuff, and it's the same opinion that everyone has, and rightfully so, that it's fucking horrifying and a tragedy. There's no great way for me to be like, hey, you know, other hockey videos are still happening. Bobby Clark GM trade history. Another video soon. Made a video with my friend Bojo talking about weird hockey jerseys from Disney. A link to that will be in the description if you want to check that out. There's no great way to do it, but I don't know. Just wanted to riff about hockey for a little bit, and thus this video is here. But at the end of the day, just keep on moving on, right? It's really all you can do. There's no perfect way to wrap up this video. But I do thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think. Byfuglien, have we seen the last of him? And St. Louis, a mistake or not to, from the looks of it, not be bringing back Alex Pietrangelo. I will see you guys a little bit later on in this format again. I'm sure at some point. Thanks for watching as always. Stay safe. I'll see you all soon.